Good morning, everyone. My name is Bay Mohammed. I'm the Commissioner of Parks and Recreation and Youth Programs, and we're here today to honor a Syracuse legend. Elizabeth Libba Cotten was a mother, a musician, a trendsetter, and believe it or not, she had time to win a Grammy in 1986. That is worth a round of applause. This park here was dedicated to her in 1983, and we are here today to honor her with a monument. Her life's lessons to me is to never stop achieving, never stop fighting, and most, to do what you love. So we're here today. We're going to hear some speakers that honor her life. We're going to unveil the monument and really dedicate this day to Elizabeth Libba Cotten. So at this time, let's bring on the Mayor of Syracuse, Mayor Stephanie Miner.
Thank you, Commissioner. We are joined here by a number of elected officials. I just want to take a moment to recognize Councilor Bay, who's here, and Councilor Kessner as well from the City Council. This project has been a labor of love for a long time. And we are pleased to be here at its unveiling to show a real testament to what the homegrown talent of Syracuse can do. Libba Cotten changed the face of music, and she changed the face of folk music in this country. And we were remiss in not recognizing that accomplishment, both for herself and her family, but also I think of equal importance for our own community, to show the kind of talent that we have in this community that can go on and change our country and indeed the world if we nurture it. So I am pleased to be here on this day to take credit for, or more appropriately share credit for, the work that has been done by lots of other people to get here today. So thank you all for joining us, and I'm glad a number of you have umbrellas, because when you bring umbrellas to events, it doesn't rain. It only rains when you don't bring umbrellas. So thank you for all of you for warding off the rain, and I see we were also joined by Councilor Doherty as well. So thank you. With that, it's my pleasure to bring up Senator DeFrancisco, who was another very instrumental and helpful hand in making today possible.
Thank you. I just am happy to have been a small part of this process, and I'll tell you how I got involved. The then Commissioner of Parks, or shortly, he was Commissioner of Parks maybe shortly before he came up with the idea to me that in order to get something done of this magnitude, you got to have some money, and fortunately at that time the state of New York actually had some. And we were accessing those funding for important projects in our various Senate districts. And to me, there was nothing more important than getting a grant to help pay for this statue, because it's an incredible story. It's not only about a wonderful musician, it's an incredible story, and I'm going to steal Frances Park's thunder a little bit, because she put it better than I can, because we were talking earlier. Here's a story of a woman in the greatest age of suppression of individuals' ability to do things and become successful in the South at the time she was in her young years, that came all the way to a position where she was world renowned and made herself a great guitar player, singer, and songwriter. And everybody knows the song Freight Train, and everybody knows how she sang it, so different than anyone else could possibly have done it, from her heart and from her soul. And so we're celebrating not only a very successful woman who we were fortunate enough to have live among us for a short period of time, but also someone who came from a very difficult circumstance to become world renowned in her field. So I'm happy to have been a small part of it, and thank you, Otis Jennings, for bringing this to my attention and pursuing this project, because it's something that we're going to be proud of for many, many years to come. Thank you.
So at this time, representing the Chancellor, we'd like to bring up Peter Inglaub.
Thanks, Bay. So on behalf of Chancellor Cantor and my colleagues at SU, we're really grateful, as always, to have such committed partners across the community and to join with them in doing something that we all know serves the public good. So for us at SU, this is obviously a celebration of Libba Cotten and the life that she lived and the gift that she shared so generously with all of us. But it's also for us a celebration of listening. And we're a community of learners at SU, and we know that the more we listen, the more we learn. And listening is not about just using our ears to hear a singing voice like that of Libba Cotten. It's about opening our minds and opening our hearts to the meaning of the poetry in her song and the witness to truth and humility that was her life. That, to us, is Libba Cotten's enduring voice. And to allow that enduring voice to change us for the better is the reward of listening, because it lifts all of us up. That's the real reward of listening. And in that sense, the real power of what we will all see soon is a very striking rendering of Libba Cotten, is that this sculpture amplifies her voice. And we need to amplify Libba's voice so that we can multiply the voices of this community. So on behalf of all of my colleagues at SU, and Chancellor Cantor, who wished that she could be here today, but is away on business in the community with the Central New York Regional Economic Development Council business, we couldn't be more pleased than to join with all of our partners here. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. At this time, this is a name that I heard a lot of when it came to who were we going to invite, who was going to speak. And Frances Park's name came up a whole lot. So it was a pleasure to meet her today. I want to hear her story, and we'd like to bring her up right now. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
That's called call and response. She was a genius. She was a transforming agent. She was a daughter of the South who extended her influence well beyond the boundaries of the region of her birth. She extended her genius to a nation. She extended her genius to the world. Born in January 1892 in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, she could see the graduation procession from the University of North Carolina as folks passed by on their way to graduation. It did not occur to her, it had not occurred to her, that as a child of the South who was bound by the restrictions of race, segregation, racism, and gender, that she might ever dream of joining that procession towards the University of North Carolina. What we know is that she was a dreamer. What we know is that she dreamed and sometimes heard the sounds of trains and trucks. What we know is that she dreamed well beyond the region, which was informed by slavery and then the violence of segregation and racism. It really governed her life, but she refused to allow it to restrict her. Is it not a dreamer who composes Freight Train? Is it not a dreamer who composes the graduation march? Is it not a dreamer who refuses to let her left-handedness govern her life forever? We suggest that this genius was a dreamer. Elizabeth Cotten composed music. Elizabeth Cotten befriended interesting persons who were musicians. Did you know that she invited Jerry Garcia of the Grateful Dead to her home in Syracuse, and she cooked for him and they played together? Isn't that an interesting intersection of lives? Did you know that the play lady of Channel 5, Jean Dougherty, and she were the best of friends in the best of times, even as they ate cheeseburgers at Phoebe's? Did you know, as Jessie Dowdell knows, that the children and the teachers and the principal, Judith Brooks, at the Martin King School listened to Elizabeth Libba Cotten play her music, after which the children would ask, "Are you an old lady?" And yes, she was, but she played with passion, and she played with vigor, and she played with the love of music that she had composed and that she performed left-handed on a guitar upside down. For those of us at Syracuse University for years ago, we deliberately brought her history and her music into our halls of ivy. We named a project the Libba Cotten Conservancy Project. We sought to affirm and reaffirm her considerable significance to Syracuse and to Syracuse University. We sought to call her a genius, and she was. We sought to call her genius in loud voices that some might have called agitating voices, and it pleased us if they called us agitators. What followed in small measure, in large measure, was a Semi-Award, which was awarded to her posthumously. And if you look at the records at the Landmark Theater, you will find, and if you look at the Erie Canal Museum and at the Onondaga Historical Association, you will find evidence of that award. A portrait mayor hangs in City Hall. An artist in Cornell offered this portrait, and your colleagues accepted the portrait, and it now hangs in City Hall. There is a permanent exhibit, a Libba Cotten permanent exhibit in the Erie Canal Museum. And if you don't believe that her importance extends across the generations, go on a Sunday afternoon to the museum, and you will find that an 11-year-old boy comes to the museum, sometimes alone, sometimes with his mother, and he goes to the exhibit, and he sits on the stool, and he strums the guitar, which he imagines that Elizabeth would have played in her lifetime. A dreamer. A dreamer. And Langston Hughes wrote, "Dreams. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field frozen with snow." We offer the possibility that she forever lived as a dreamer, that child born in the segregationist South, that woman who moved from there crossing boundaries into Washington and then into Syracuse, where she informed our lives so magnificently and with such passion for those years before dying in 1987. Let us celebrate her life, and let us acknowledge this space which has been offered to her life's work. Thank you.
Did everyone get a program? This is why I didn't read the inside of the program, because I knew Ms. Parks would really tell the story. Let's give her another round of applause. Now, before I bring former Commissioner Jennings of. This is one of the projects that I was given directive to get the monument in the park from our mayor. There was a number of projects that she said, this has to get done. This has to get done. And so one of the first people I called was former Commissioner Otis Jennings. I heard about this project when I first got to the city. And I think the important thing here is, even though it's taken 3 commissioners, we still kept the vision. We still stayed the course. And it was just my job to, help close the deal. But I couldn't do that without his assistance. So at this time, let's bring up former Commissioner Otis Jennings.
Good morning. I will not spend a lot of time. I think all that's needed to be said was said. But what I would like to do is just to thank the individuals who were very instrumental in having this day come to fruition. The first person I would like to thank is Frances Parks. She was the one who, and the Libba Cotten Committee, gave me the vision to pursue this particular monument project. Then I went to Chancellor Cantor as soon as she arrived in the city. Upon her arrival, I knew that Libba was a big piece of Syracuse University. I asked her for the first part of the funding, and she was willing to give it to us without hesitation. She said, sure, how much do you need? And I told her we needed $13,000. That was approximately 50% of the cost. Then I went to my good friend, Senator John D. Francisco. Again, without hesitation, he gave us and found us the money to do this project. Then I knew I had to have a place where the money needed to be funneled through and appropriately appropriated. And then I went to my good friend, Mr. Jesse Dardell. Without hesitation, he said he would oversee the project and make sure that the money was dispensed correctly. Can we give these people a hand, please? Because once again, it was just a vision. And after that, I had the pleasure of working with a couple of commissioners trying to get the project done. But I must thank the mayor because I spoke with her extensively about this project while we were running and after she won. And then Bay Muhammad and Glenn Lewis were just, or I should say Commissioner Muhammad and Glenn Lewis was just incredible in expediting the project, and here we are today. And I am extremely grateful that once again this is another wonderful monument, because the city of Syracuse has great monuments all over the city, and I'm thrilled once again to have one for the African American community here, and it's a third in a series that it's in the city. We have Ernie Davis up on campus, we have the Jerry Rescue Monument downtown, and now we have Libba Cotten. And it just goes to the diversity that the city displays. And if you go around the city on the west side, Peter Coleman has done a tremendous job there. If you travel downtown, we have Soldiers and Sailors, and on the north side we have Sniper Monument. So it just displays a great history of the city of Syracuse and the part that we played in history as a whole, whether it's the Civil War, whether it's Vietnam, whether it's our first and hopefully more to come Grammy Award winners coming out of the city of Syracuse. So with that being said, I would like to introduce my friend and a tremendous artist, and she's part of our monument restoration program here in the city of Syracuse, Miss Sharon Buman, who's a phenomenal, and she's right here in Syracuse, phenomenal talent. Come on up, Sharon.
thank you all for coming. This is quite an occasion, and everyone has spoke to the timeliness or the lack thereof of this monument, but I have to say, she was initiated over 22 years ago. As soon as I finished the Jerry Rescue, a man by the name of Chester Whiteside came to me, who was also on the Jerry Rescue Committee, and said, we need to do Libba Cotten. And I put together a scale model, and it was 12 years later that Commissioner Jennings saw the scale model and said, we need to have this in the park. So for one reason and another, and a lot of personal turnovers, she's here today. And I'd like to speak a little bit about the conceptual aspect of what she is and what you will see. Libba was a die-hard musician. She was a mother, she was a grandmother, she loved children, and it's appropriate that she's in a park where she oversees the children playing on the swing sets. I wanted her to be portrayed as the grandmotherly type, and I wanted her smiling, and I wanted her performing because that's when she was happiest. And I have many, many videos of her performing, and I felt like over the years I've really gotten to know who Libba Cotten is. And sometimes I would play her music for hours, and it's fascinating to listen to her play. There's no one that can play in the manner that she plays. So without further hesitation or thereof, let's get her unveiled so you can get an opportunity to see what she came out as.